the Lord, when addressing the crowds, does warn them that they cannot choose Him and hang on to other things. The Master, when He calls, has that exclusivity of rights. That operates within the modalities of the call, within that call, because He calls some to hand on the gift of life, others to hand on the gift of divine life, others just to praise and love Him on behalf of humanity. The Church is full of living icons. If one is exposed on a daily basis to the lives of the saints, one is somewhat influenced by them. If one watches and listens to people who are not in a state of grace, by osmosis that ungracefulness comes into the soul, and the norm of the world becomes the forma mentis of that soul. If, on the other hand, the soul is spending a lot of time in the divine presence, and therefore in the midst of angels who are adoring the Blessed Sacrament, they are the point of reference. One behaves in a different mode, and one sees things in a different light. The true light is that of eternity. We are not here, actually, that long. Years ago, in the 7th year, in the Chartreuse, canonical studies stopped, and one was preparing for solemn vows and ordination. And one therefore had a certain amount of purely spiritual and historic reading. And I recall how, going through the volumes of Christian spirituality, that one thing was coming through. One was influenced by the pen of those who had gone by. In the 1980s, modern technology had not reached its present pitch, and in the ancient simplicity of Carthusian solitude, there was no contamination coming in through the airwaves, and therefore the book was all that spoke, and the Lord spoke through it. And written words had huge power, each word echoed in the vaults of silence and solitude. Time passed, felt, calmly and under control. The bell called and recalled. And so one was able to see things with great clarity. But strangely enough, that being exposed to the power of the written word was also a locus of encounter with a big question. Not ever to write again was also a silencing of the pen, and it came to a head as time went on. I remember thinking to myself, if these quiet sonnets, written and told to be hidden, or ever heard again, it would be a divine miracle. Strangely enough, the printing house in London is looking at it now over the ones with illustrations. One sees the hand of providence therein, for we are not here that long, and when in the grave, the voice of the pen can allow something of the soul yet to be heard in years yet to come. Many years later, after ordination in Rome, I recall how doing the doctorate on Adam Scott, the Premonstratensian abbot who became a Carthusian and carried on writing, was also an occasion to be influenced by a soul gone on into the beyond. And strange enough, so powerfully that the desire to go on his track to pure solitude also returned very strongly. And his voice was a pure voice from the heart of our Saviour. He knew the power of the word, for he was a great preacher before going to the Carthusians. But then he wrote only on the love of God. And he was a voice heard by two orders, the Premonstratensians and the Carthusians. But there was one thing running through it all: the exclusivity of the rights of God.
Corpus natum de Maria Virgine, vere passum immolatum in cruce pro homine, cuius natus perforatum fluxit aqua et sanguine. Est nobis pregus tautum, mortis in examinis.